First story. I, 47M, just found out my wife, 48F, cheated on me. Thanks Google Maps timeline. Today I was working on my wife's work laptop and I found out that there was a regular unusual extra stop on her way going home. For context, my wife is a nursing company that does health checks in several agricultural factories. My wife apparently exchanged numbers with one of her clients, and they saw each other 4 times outside her work without me knowing, 3 times during the day and 1 time in the late evening. I had a slight feeling something was off, and said she could talk to me about everything. Today I confronted her with everything and she immediately confessed. She says they only kissed and she broke all contact after their 4th meeting. These events occurred 2 months ago, so she had been lying and's holding it back all this time. We have an amazing, 5-year-old daughter, house and a steady life. I am heartbroken and so confused. I do not want to say or do things that I regret later on, but I know her actions crossed all lines. Can anyone relate to my situation and/or give me some advice how to move on? Update. This morning she confessed she has sex with him twice. I am heartbroken. Thanks for all the kind messages and responses. Update. My wife cheated on me and is now pregnant. 1 month ago I posted about my discovery regarding my wife's affair. Long story short, she had an affair for about 2 months. She decided it was not worth it, so she kept it hidden from me. I accidentally discovered her affair and confronted her about it. She told me everything and I checked the whole story with the guy she had the affair with. We have been going to a therapist for a couple of weeks, but didn't feel we made any progress. We have a daughter, 3 years old, and I wanted to wait out my decision to leave or stay so the first emotions and heartbreak would not influence my decision. 1 week ago we found out my wife is 6 weeks pregnant. Right before I found out, we were trying for a second child. I know the child is mine, and not from the guy because they had an affair in May. Before I found out about the child I felt free because I could carefully think about the options of leaving, staying. Now I feel trapped, confused and angry. I feel scammed because I would not ever wanted to make another child in this period of uncertainty. Is it selfish for me to stay with my wife and second kid until the hard phase of about 1 year is over and then split ways? I just can't wrap my head around the idea of raising another child with the woman who betrayed my trust like that. Or is raising this child a new opportunity to grow towards each other? Has anyone had similar experiences? Any advice or words are welcome. Update. Me and wife still holding on. Advice and guidance needed. After a long time of being a silent reader, I have decided, on the advice of my psychologist, to write down her story here. The events below date back to a year ago, and to this day, my wife and I are still together. However, I have weekly nightmares, and thoughts about the infidelity and the physical aspect of it haunt me daily. I am mainly seeking similar stories or situations from couples who have either survived or not survived such an ordeal. I will try to briefly summarize the facts below. May 2023. We have been in a relationship for 14 years, 4 of which we've been married. We have a 2.5-year-old daughter. At that time, we were already trying for a second child for several months. My wife met AP at her job. They got to know each other better through WhatsApp, but it quickly escalated to sexting. They decided, according to what I know and what I found on Google Maps timeline, to meet 5 times. My wife says they were physically intimate twice. In June, they decided that their affair could not continue and cut off all contact. End of July, I happened to see my wife's timeline and piece things together. I confronted her with the facts, and she confessed that she had an affair. Besides the facts I know based on the information from Google Maps, she refuses to give me any further details. I feel I need more information to understand her and her behavior in order to move forward. We tried couples therapy, but it didn't work. A year has passed, and I feel like we haven't made any progress since then. We now have a 4-month-old son. We did a paternity test, and he is mine. This entire situation is eating away at me, and my mental health is suffering as a result. It's affecting my behavior towards my children and my work. After a year of therapy, I've learned that the only way to move forward in this relationship is through forgiveness and acceptance. However, I find this incredibly difficult because my wife hasn't been open and honest about the affair. Please share your similar stories, advice, or words of encouragement below. Second story, D-Day 2. Yesterday was D-Day 2. The first D-Day was Mother's Day, May 12th, when my teenage daughters discovered sex and nudes on my WW's phone and told me they thought she was having an affair. I confronted her that night, where she admitted she had been sexting her ex-boyfriend from high school university for the past 5 months or so and had been secretly messaging him for about 3 years. We are late 40s and have been married over 20 years quite happily, I had thought. I never would have expected or had been suspicious before. She deleted all messages from her phone that night and I wasn't able to get any copies. She said they had never had sex or even seen each other in person, both to me and to our girls. She had reiterated that multiple times when I have asked point blank. Both of us and our girls have all gone to IC. That has been tremendously helpful to me. Especially my oldest daughter is also deeply affected by having seen the messages Mom sent and received from another man. Reconciling had been going well these past 3 months, I had thought. After the first couple weeks sleeping in separate rooms, we have been loving and had a lot of good sex. We had lots of discussions where she was expressing remorse and I thought had figured out her why, which made sense. We were even able to go on a 2-week road trip with lots of time, just the 4 of us together, that was pretty successful. Yesterday she had her latest IC appointment and I sensed she was feeling particularly remorseful and open to talking. I asked again if she had ever seen him in person, and this time she said she had seen him. In fact, she said it was only once about 3 years ago during the height of COVID, when he had brought her a coffee at her workplace. She said they only talked for a few minutes and he didn't even get out of his car. He lives in the next town, about 30-minute drive. She claims that was the only time and they were never physical with each other. Some aspects of the details changed too. Before she said there had been no videos, but it turns out he has sent a few videos of jerking off and coming. She had admitted to receiving dick pics before. She says she sent no videos, just nude pics, and they have never called or FaceTimed. Meeting once, the way she claims, doesn't compare to sexting or nudes, but having her admit a major lie sent me reeling again last night and I barely slept. And why lie about that? I think if a friend had told me that story I would tell him it doesn't make sense and his wife was probably having sex with another man. Am I naive to believe her? I've given her 1 week to come clean with any details I should know, and any new lies discovered after that will have a serious consequence. I have never cheated, but trying to put myself in her shoes, if I was sexting a woman that close, and that I also had a history with, I would be pushing for it to get physical, I am sure. I agree, why lie about a benign thing compared to what was already revealed? My trust, which was being repaired, is shattered again, and it won't be so easy to repair. Unfortunately, I don't have previous phone records since we changed plans around November and don't have access to the old ones anymore, but a good thought for others. I am very thankful I found this channel in early days, cause it feels like the most supportive community for what I thought I want. I was aware of Trickle Truth, and in fact about a month ago, I tried to do the same thing and tell her about the concept. Sadly, it seems to have not motivated her then. I think she is definitely trying to minimize, and tried to do so a few times over this period. It's good to consider the controlling the narrative idea as well. I will keep an eye out for that. Third story. My wife cheated on me while I was on vacation with our kids. I, 31M, made a fake account on a dating app to find out if she was cheating. In the beginning of spring, my wife, 49F, started taking longer hours at work when she normally would come home and spend time with me and our 2 kids. I first ignored it thinking she was trying to make extra cash, but now looking back it doesn't make sense realizing we were already pretty well off, but decided to ignore it. She also started to spend more time on her phone when she did get time off. We had a Disney trip coming up and the day before our flight she told me she was going to stay back to hang with the boys. She told me to sell her ticket or bring someone else along. When we got back I noticed a car in our driveway and went into the house. The children went upstairs to unpack and heard a thud upstairs coming from the bedroom. When I went upstairs my wife was up there in only boxers, not thinking much of it because she normally sleeps like that. And then the balcony door was open cracked like someone forgot to shut it. Our room is only 1 story high, meaning someone could easily get down from here. I got suspicious but decided not to confront her. I took a shower and noticed brown hair strands on the shower floor. I myself is blonde, same with my wife, so it couldn't have been mine since I cleaned the shower before we left a week ago. And it also couldn't be my wife either because it was long like shoulder length. I talked to her about it and as expected, she gaslighted me and said it was probably from the broomstick. It was not cause we don't sweep the shower, lol. Stupid answer. Her phone was blowing up with notifications at dinner, and I managed to take a peek before she turned off her phone, only to see it was from Tinder. She had 6 new matches. When she fell asleep, I went through her phone and found she had smashed 3 other guys from our book club. I also decided to make a catfish and try to find her. We texted, and she proved my suspicions right when she asked to meet up at our local coffee shop, and on that day, she told me she had an emergency at her job. After she left I took my kids to school and went to the shop. She was late, and I waited for her there with divorce papers, and when she arrived, she was shocked to see me. I told her everything and gave her the papers. We are now separated and she is already engaged to another guy a month after. I took full custody of the kids and now live a happy life. 4th story. Heartbroken by husband's emotion affair. On May 26, I, 52 M, discovered messages between my wife, 60 F, of over 25 years and a married guy she went to high school with. They were using WhatsApp. The messages began at 7:20 a.m. and ended for the day after midnight. I only saw 1 day of messages, but they were very flirty and sexual. He told my wife he has always had a thing and a want for her. She invited him to meet her one weekend in June out of our town and said he could stay with her at her hotel. He accepted her offer. I took pics of these messages. I confronted her 2 days later. She apologized and admitted she was involved in a conversation she should not have been in. She says she had no intention of actually meeting him at the hotel. Backing up a few weeks to early May, they both attended a funeral for a mutual friend. She admitted that she went to his hotel room. He was supposedly sharing with another friend, and the 3 of them drank for hours and told high school stories. She drove them to get food at 3 a.m. She kept telling me he was just a friend and it was not sexual. My heart was broken and has been ever since. She kept swearing to God and on our kids' lives she had not communicated with him since May. I logged into our AT&T account in late June and discovered that was another lie. She had still been sexting him, send each other nude and video. One particular night we had sex and I saw on our account she had texted him 28 times that evening. I felt so betrayed, like everything was a lie. She was still contact him the day I logged into AT&T. We are still together but I struggle daily. Our anniversary was in July and all she did was send me a text message. After everything we were going through I think I deserved a little more effort on her part. She is traveling for work this week and last night she did not call or text me. I texted her around 9 and she did not respond. Today I am triggered again when I remember how much she was sexting this guy at all hours of the day and night. She found time for him but can't make it for her family. This haunts me daily. I am on a wait list at a counseling place. Hopefully by September I can be seen. My wife just wants me to accept her apology and move on. She says it's been long enough and I am ruining my days being upset. I don't think she understands the betrayal I feel for what she was doing behind my back. I am sad and angry at the same time. I feel so broken. I am trying to think of my kids and don't want them hurt at the beginning of a new school year. I just struggle thinking about the future with her. I don't feel like her actions are that of someone who is truly sorry. Fifth story. Hard time getting over betrayal 10 months ago. I've 31M. Been dating my fiancé, we'll call her Sue, 36F, since November 14th, 2022. Our relationship has been incredibly rocky to say the least, but especially towards the beginning. Fast forward to July 2023, and she found out she was pregnant. This is 100% our fault. We were in a medium-distance relationship at the time with her living an hour away. We had the same days off so she'd come visit me. I don't have a license. On our off days we were never careful with any sort of birth control at all. So she becoming pregnant wasn't really this crazy miracle. It still came as a shock though. I guess when you only have sex 8 days out of the month, you think you're immune to getting pregnant. She immediately told me, and she sorta acted like no emotions was happening when she did, so I actually ended up moving closer to her around this time. We live 10 minutes apart now, for reasons actually unrelated to her. Just nice coincidence. We kept going back and forth every single day about what we should do with this situation, and we eventually decided we should have an abortion. So on September 27, 2023, that's what she did. It was the most painful experience of my life, as it was the last week I could legally do it in my state, and I had no painkillers. I offers Sue support at this time after taking her to mine house right after the abortion. She stared at my roommate. This came as a bit of a shock to me, since I was expecting her so exhausted, physical and emotional, after the abortion. But she took me surprised when she saw my roommate. She looked like she on cloud 9 the rest of the next day. The same thing happened, and my wife tried to hit on my roommate. Hardly any talking, and I ask her what's going on. She ends up saying maybe hormones affected. She fell asleep about an hour after arriving at my place. Now, I'd gone through her phone a few times before this, but hadn't really found anything. I don't know why, but every bone in my body was screaming at me to go through her phone, so I did. I end up in she deleted camera roll and find screenshots of motel transactions. I automatically knew exactly what was going on. My heart sank. I go to Cash App and see a bunch of motel transaction after transaction to so many motel receipts you would lose count. I ended up on checking her purse. I saw all the sex toy and lubricant she had in play over the course of our whole relationship, and her whole pregnancy. And I swear I've never had a lower point in my entire life and hopefully never will. I could never even find a woman attractive while we were together. It was beyond me how she was paying for so many people and ducking to so many people and lying to me for months on end. She told me on our first date that she never had casual sex because she found it disgusting, and that was a huge part of why I was so attracted to her. I never expected her to do this to me. I just laid in bed next to her, making sure not to touch her. I was absolutely disgusted and heartbroken. I tried to go to sleep because we both had to work in the morning. I laid there for 5 hours trying my hardest not to touch the woman next to me and fall asleep after 5 hours of tossing and turning. I stormed out of bed and turned the lights on and told her to leave my apartment. She acted confused at first, then tried to apologize, then got angry and left. She tried to make me believe I was in the wrong for the way I reacted at first, but I didn't put up with that narrative for very long at all. She apologized and explained how she had a sex addiction since she was 13 years old and how she'd stopped for me. I've gone through her phone since and haven't found anything, but who knows if she actually quit or is just better at hiding it. I also learned a little bit ago that her ex-boyfriend, whom she dated for 3 years, also discovered she had herpes, but wasn't as upset by it. They started making OnlyFans content together during their relationship. Ever since that late September night, I haven't been the same. I still think about it every day. I have nightmares about it. I wonder if she's looking at anything every second I'm not next to her. It's a living hell. I keep waiting for things to get better, but nothing as our relationship has gotten better and she's been much more kind and attentive, but we still have lots of major issues. I used to see her as the one, but now, when she mentions us someday having a home or pets or children together, I can't see it. I started therapy after the whole abortion sex addiction discovery, but I found my therapist male seeming to justify sexual activity use. The one thing I needed her not to do. So I recently let her go. I feel bad because I mostly believe she has stopped casual sex for me, and it does seem like she's really trying, and I know it's an addiction, but it is such a deep, cutting pain knowing my fiancé would have rather lusted over complete strangers, and take videos of them spreading their privates or shaking their breasts when I paid for most everything in our relationship. And it certainly doesn't help that we're making a very big decision at the time. Sometimes I feel like there is no other option than to break up with her. She's been saying to me recently how she has no idea how I'm still with her, and honestly, I'm starting to agree. She is my best friend, and has many amazing qualities. But I truly don't know if I can ever get over she blowing probably 100 plus guy over the course of our relationship. And who knows if she'd still be doing it if I never caught her. I can't believe her when she says I'm the most handsome partner in the world. Nothing about anything makes sense anymore. I've lost my ability to trust in anything with a nice house and an expensive car. I can't help but absolutely hate her. I am reminded every day of the betrayal I went through. I have been irreparably damaged by this, and even if I'm with someone besides her, I will never trust again. Sorry about this rant. I just am at such a loss. Being betrayed by a partner is truly something I feel you can only understand if you've been through it yourself. And for everyone finding themselves on this channel, I am so truly sorry, and I hope you all get amazing happy endings, and you deserve so much better than whatever happened to you. Thank you for reading. I know this was kinda pointless and rambling, and I'm sorry there's just no one I can get this out to.